it's all going to be about what they're going to start things off with in terms of, are we going to see some early aggression coming out from either team? They both know the highest level of play and what the picks and bans are. We'll see what they choose to utilize, because we saw it Hi-Rez Expo in Season 3, at the end of Season 3 pretty much, that there was a lot of focus on early game aggression and invades. However, the teams that could deal with that and have a better mid-game team ended up winning.
I'm expecting some early aggression between both these two teams. They know each other inside and out. They've been playing against each other in their Challenger Cup for so long, especially in ranked. So a lot of mind games are going to be going between these two teams, and we're going to probably see an early grouping up, getting wards very well deep in the jungle by the speed buff right off the bat.
Not surprised to see the Nike ban there. The Sylvanas one is a pretty solid one, but it does leave a lot of things open for Astral Authority to look at. However, they're going to go with the Ratatoska, favoring that jungle pick. Can solo lane, but majority of the time we see the Ratatoska in the jungle. He's starting to become more and more favorable over Thor, which I'm quite surprised at.
The thing is, it's much easier to land that Ratatoska ultimate than the Thor ultimate, and on top of this, you get more than just a stun. Knockup is a better crowd control than a stun. Obviously, if you're in the air, even if you use that purification, you still have to wait to come back down, whereas if you get stunned by the Thor ultimate, you can instantly purification and use your escapes.
Interesting choice of Geb there very early on. Khepri was the second really go-to after Sylvanas for a long period of time, but Geb, very solid. It's early to draft it on. Now, it is on first rounders as well. I don't think Giliari will be taking it mid this time, as we saw last time round we saw this Geb picked up by him.
Hopefully not. We're not going to see any more mid-Geb shenanigans.
I hope not. Well, not with a Ra anyway. But the Giannis has been locked in for them as well on Astral Authority. They've got one more pick to do here. It will be Sol. So far, very magical heavy with Sol and Giannis on the squad. They're going to have to make sure they balance this out a little bit. Well, they've got tower push, but make sure they've got some extra physical damage here.
We've seen Shakeup play this Giannis very effectively today so far. Famous Hate did play Sol earlier on in the round of 16. So we're going to see him play that again. He was doing very well against the Ram player. He had no difficulties. Anytime he was left alone, he was melting that tower. But I like the draft so far out of first rounders. They have good sustain, good resiliency, and cleanse with the Geb. On top of this, they have a great engagement tool with the Hunbat.
Talk about sustain. Obviously, with the Ra, what you normally see from the other team is they will try and pick up a little bit of sustain for themselves. With Sylvanas banned out, next real go-to more than likely is a Geb. Sorry, not Geb. Guan Yu is another go-to that we do see coming out here. It would fit into Astral Authority's comp a little bit here, but it could open things up in the solo lane if you choose to put it there.
You have to be careful about picking up a Guan Yu too early in the draft as well. There's a lot of counter matchups you don't really want to deal with.
Sure.
Amaterasu, Hades, Ymir, anything that'll cancel out your Tower of Assault, and first rounders are leaving their solo pick wisely for the last choice, making sure that there's not going to be too much of a heavy counter option.
Back over to Astral Authority then for the final two picks. They need a solo laner here and a support more than likely, unless Ratatoska flexes into that solo lane, which we've seen many times before. Camazotz kind of dictates that will be solo. We don't really see too many of those in the jungle.
Between Ratatoska and Camazotz, especially considering the fact that it was Final K playing the Ratatoska before, I would expect him to continue this trend. There's no reason not to continue it, as you're warmed up already with this god. Camazotz, it could be a very good lane bully if left unchecked. So,
and you love Camazotz as well. I've seen your streams before. You love playing this Camazotz a lot, Toli. What is it that he brings that you love so much?
You can just go ham, you know?
Is that all he's designed to do?
Camazotz just goes scree all the time, and that's what you have to do.
And we'll see what he can actually do on this in this game, Astral Authority. Obviously, we saw Mango playing earlier on today, had a good performance on the Ratatoska and such. We'll see if he does take the Camazotz, if he can perform with it.
And picking up Chalk for the last round for first rounders against this Camazotz is very safe. Obviously, you can axe from a distance. You don't have to come really close to the Camazotz. And if Camazotz wants to be able to use his lane clear, you don't have to put yourself in a position to get hit by that lane clear. Camazotz is going to have to decide between hitting the melee minions and the Chalk, or hitting the melee minions and the archers.
What matchups does Camazotz really struggle against in the solo lane overall, Toli? Like, you've played it quite a bit yourself, so you should know. Is Tyr viable there? I'm just surprised we didn't see a Tyr come out.
Anything that'll just basically out clear the Camazotz. Okay. So Tyr would be definitely a great option because you have the lane clear. You also have the sustain to boot, which makes it very difficult for this Camazotz.
I was just thinking, like, if I've overlooked something in terms of like the Tyr Camazotz matchup, because we see a Chak drafted, right? Yes, and we talk about lane clear. Chak is pretty good at that, but when it comes to team fighting, Tyr just provides a little bit more.
Especially considering the fact that you have the blink option with the Fearless. So not electing to go for that, it's a little bit more difficult mechanically. So electing to play it more safer with Chalk for Eye Fates. Also, Erlang Shed would be good, but it was banned by Astral Authority right off the get-go.
Well, at the start of this game, you saw them all start to group up. Ward placement's very important here. The ping's going down at the right on Harpies right now, because both teams may look to contest those at the beginning of the game. For the time being, though, it looks like everyone's going to fall back to base, sorry, to their own side of the map. Although on the left-hand side, Harpies being looked at there as well.
These mid Harpies has been seen more and more contest in the earlier stages of the game, because if you're able to get these left side mid Harpies on the goal, Fury right off the bat, then you can start collapsing on the right side. And if you have both timers, then you can really control the pace of the game during the 3:15 around the 6:20 respawn timers.
Well, this dance is going to slow things down for both teams overall, at least from the mid and dual lane's point of view here. Geb zoning them away for the time being, but they're going to flop in, looking to steal them away. The camp is down right now.
Looks like Astral already got it.
It does look like it was Astral Authority, but it's back to even. As you can see, the buffs have been cleared on the right. I think it was 1-for-1, actually, Toby.
It might have very well been 1-for-1. So overall, the timer has been developed for both teams. They're going to be able to lock that down. Whoever has the advantage in the mid lane around the 3-minute mark should be able to rotate very quickly to the left side. But because of all that action on the left, neither team electing to get their red buff to start things off. So it's going to be more difficult to clear the mid wave as a result.
And because of this, the jungler and solo lane will be a little bit further ahead of experience than any of the other lanes at the beginning. So they should hit 5 a little bit early. Over the wall came the axe there. I'm not 100% certain who got that, but looking at the gold, it looks like it was Astral Authority again.
It looks like it. So they're going to have a slight lead. Chalk is struggling a little bit as he's going to go back into the laning phase. We haven't talked about it, but it is going to be Camisards in that jungle position and electing to have Mango play the Ratatasker.
With Bacchus and Giannis, though, there's plenty of setup for him to confirm damage there. The portals, obviously, and the flop can allow him to get the Screech off as well, and the lifesteal potential for the setup, or even just follow up with the dive in.
And it makes sense to kind of do this little swap, because now Mango can easily rotate to the mid lane for a gank potential, utilizing that ultimate, whereas Final K, as long as he's next to Sheikah, going through those portals, going through the threshold, that's all the mobility he really needs to look for any sort of gank in the side lanes.
The Final K is rotated all the way around the map here, looking to split away from the mid lane a little bit here, allow the soak of experience to be a bit more evened out overall. It does delay Famous Hate a little bit, but you can keep an eye on BennyQ on the Rama, who's still only level 3 as of right now.
And that's going to be very problematic as a Ram player against a Soul. As the heat develops with a passive, Famous Hate is going to be looking for that boxing potential. Obviously, Ram not looking to really box in the early stages, especially before the Devil Gloves has been complete. You're looking more for the sustain option. You look for a little bit of a poke and then rely on that lifesteal to get back into the laning phase, whereas Magical Hunters go for the abilities.
Mango here on the right-hand side, now hitting level 5, just behind iFates on that Shack. But Mango showed his ability on this god earlier on in the last round as well, so his Ratatasker will be respected going into this one. As well as starting off with the Vanguard here, making sure he's got a bit of extra defense against a double physical jungle and solo laner he's against.
The matchup is not in his favor this early in the laning phase, and we see him getting bullied out ever so highly there. Chalk still having 1 health potion, 2 multi-pots. Now, nothing really remaining on the side of Mango, so has to be very mindful about his positioning, because he doesn't have to teleport. Both solo laners elected to go for the Wrath, wanting to make sure that they either get their own blue buff confirmed, or if anyone's out of position, they look for an invade of the blue.
Still no kills on the board yet. Flop and Portal used at the same time there, unfortunately, left from left Syndrome and Shaker. Could have put a bit more damage there onto Giliara, but unfortunately not to be. Over on the left-hand side, BennyQ happy to take trades with Famous Hate.
Getting the better end of the Soul is very uncharacteristic. Normally, Soul could just go up, Stellar Burst, get some shots in as well, but BennyQ now hitting level 6. He does have the Astral Arrows levels to clear.
Speed buff being invaded, though. The Intoxicate forced by left Syndrome there, looking to steal that one away from them on the right-hand side of things right now. And it does look like they did manage to do that. Final K has the speed buff as iFate's forced to ultimate here, but the banner help is here. The great flop in from left Syndrome will allow Mango to pick up the kill.
Great positioning from Astral Authority. They're not done yet, though. Shaco with wrist space in time. The Fear No Evil, though not on the mark, was quick.
And the Shelly's already used there as well by left Syndrome. Rotation coming in from Shaker. Low on mana, though, for a portal, so he can get a portal up, but no unstable vortex to follow up.
Body blocks
it's
are
allowing
so good,
Genocide to
though.
stay alive, but not long enough. It's on the left-hand side. It looks like BennyQ. He dived the tier 1 tower and paid the price.
Wanted it so badly. Left Famous Hate with less than 50 health, it seemed, on the left-hand side, but going that far out of position. Luckily enough for BennyQ, the respawn timers are so short that he's not going to miss out on too much farm anyway, but what a risky play. But that still shows that he has the confidence to be able to try to attempt these plays. He just has to clean up the execution.
Both teams here really need to get themselves to the finals, because obviously in the semis it's 40 and 25 if you hit third and fourth place. That's not enough points to secure you right now with how the things have gone.
Not at all.
So you've got to be very careful, and getting to the finals guarantees you at least 60, which will push Astral Authority onto 100 for the week, and first rounders at around 62, which gives them hope of being a top 3 team.
Very important for both of these teams in this best of 3 set. First game starting off really well for Astral Authority with those kills, getting themselves about a 1,000 goal lead already 5 minutes into the game. They could start to look for more plays around this solo lane if iFates elects to go for these trades.
The trade is interesting, but Mango dashed in there, but with a minion wave coming in, that will keep him alive for a second. But FaZe looking for the axe, and the axe will find a home. He eat the whole minion wave there, but luckily enough, FaZe was just survivable enough to weather the storm of that and pick up a solo kill in the solo lane.
Just barely in range of that axe, unfortunately, and that's going to allow iFates to get that wave, and it's going to go under the tower. Nobody making the rotation quite yet, but finally, okay, we'll be able to pick up at least some of that wave. So with this level disparity, Chalk is going to be able to hit level 9 first. Having that axe maxed out is going to be so good for him for the remainder of this laning phase before the Breastplate of Valor gets complete.
And FaZe is about to hit a stride now in his build as well, but as a Jack, about this point in the game is where he can really start to turn up. He gets most of his abilities online. This is where he kind of shines now, Jack. So I guess FaZe is going to be looking for these rotations, looking to make plays based off the situation.
You got to get a little bit of a lead in the early laning phase and continue it now, but we do see the rotation from the solo lane. FaZe landing in mid, finds 2.
Unstable Vortex was good, but a Fano even from Giliara keeps his team topped up. Space and time doesn't find a home, but the Bat out of Hell could pick up a double, but he split the difference, so they both still stand for a second. Mango still trying to go in here and cause some problems. We'll get one as Shaker cleans up another, but iFates round the back will pick up the Ratatoska as the fight continues. Syndrome, luckily enough, though, had the flop available. FaZe was thinking about diving in for this, but I don't think he thinks he can get it all in time.
2 for 1 in the favor of Astral Authority. They did have to dive that tier 1 tower ever so slightly, but Mango sacrificing his life yet again, though. That's going to give him a more of a separation for iFates to continue the snowball. Already hitting level 9. Could hit level 10 very quickly.
Genocide in the mid lane under pressure once more. Avoids the portal, doesn't avoid the unstable Vortex, however. The combo connected, he would have been certain death.
And that's what you have to do as a Giannis player. You just throw out the portal, and whether or not you hit it, it doesn't matter because they're forced to go in the opposite direction, and that unstable Vortex is very easy to connect as a result of them avoiding that portal.
We can see the goal difference between the two now. It's starting to approach almost 1,000 gold between the two. Up and down for the most part, but it's the experience as well in the early game that you generally want to look towards to work out how things are going in the game. That extra level difference is extra free damage on abilities for the most part.
Mango, though, might be in a little bit trouble. Giliara jumping in, still holding on to the ultimate for a little bit, taking a little bit of poke, half health now, having to retreat back into his jungle side, and yet again, without this teleport, every single time he gets poked out like this, there's more and more of a lead being built by iFates.
Well, luckily enough, though, for Mango there, he's not missing any experience in lane right now. There's no minion wave there. His buffs are down, so he can afford to go back to base. And with Ratatoska as well, those Acons do provide decent sustain if you just connect them over and over again.
So far, good job by the first rounders holding their own on Astral Authority, because we saw the last 2 games, in the round of 16 and the round of 8, against Nightmare Asylum and Most Wanted, just how much of a lead that Astral Authority really built up very quickly in the game. So now they're slowing things down in the best of 3 set.
Yeah, I think first rounders just have to take a back seat for a moment now and just allow the situation to continue to develop and continue to farm up now. We saw Benny Q, you know, he got soloed there up against Famous Hate. Granted, the tower was involved, but that sort of aggression, this missed time, can come back to haunt you. And so every single lane, for the all intents and purposes, of Astral Authority is doing well, except Mango versus iFates.
Absolutely, iFates did get that solo kill, and a little bit of pressure from his jungle side gave him that edge to be able to continue the farm. And still having that 1 level lead, going for a more aggressive strategy, still boxing with the Ratatoska as he should be.
And the boxing trade is going to be interesting between the two, trying to do it between the waves turning up and the rotations coming out. Talk about the rotations, Mango's dash is now down, Giliara around the Fire Giant pit, looking to circle round, or just pick up the elementals for the time being as FaZe continues to farm up.
Fate's unfortunately missing Mango there. He elected to hit the arches, but he didn't position his axe wide enough to be able to connect onto Mango as well. Look at the difference of the itemization between these two solo laners. Shield of Regrowth on the side of Fates. I really like this idea, trying to be a very mobile Chalk. Every time that Rain Dance comes out, he's just going to be zooming on in.
Mango recognizing Giliar is on the right-hand side here, so just going to pin back under his own tower now. Nothing in the jungle to really steal right now, but he has got a ward down in case Giliar tries to flank around the back for the all-intensive purposes. Gold Fury still stands at 9 minutes here, and I think that's where their attention will slowly turn towards.
It should be, but both Ravs are on the solo lane, so it's not going to be really till level 12 once the solo laners pick up a second relic if they elect to go for that teleport, and we could see some sneaky rotation just to be able to burn that Gold Fury quickly enough in Wrath execute range.
And with no hogs available here, you can actually see Bacchus here with the Intoxicate, and also in the mid lane here, Quig on the Ra. They're two that really have good secure for the Gold Fury, as well as Shaker, I guess, with the through space and time, but it's a little bit riskier. And
so important to poke out the Ra before his heal comes online. Only level 9, maxing out the first ability for the lane clear for the kills as well. On top of this, the Geb obviously not going to max out his shield right off the bat as well.
Yeah, Genocide and Left Syndrome really hanging out together, trying to outplay each other for the most part here with their knockups, looking to position themselves for each team to try and apply some pressure. Now, the dance around the Gold Fury is slowly beginning here. You can see the more wall coverage going down. However, the speed buff being stolen there by Mango, who somehow managed to strip into the jungle alone, unchecked, has now given FineOK an extra speed buff for free.
Sneaky Ratatasker finding the speed buff. Second speed buff in the game for Astral Authority. That's their only real kind of lead that they've been able to really strip away after the kill. So this is a small thing that they can continue to do if they like to. Just let Mango chill against iFates. He's going to be taking out with Breastplate of Valor.
Shield is down on Genocide here. Portal Intoxicate used as well. Forced a Cataclysm, bad out of hell, but there's the rollout used by Genocide, which is going to cancel out the chance for FineOK to try and pick up that kill.
Good discipline by FineOK, not committing to that tier 1 tower, recognizing that the Geb was just a little bit too tanky to be able to chase down, but this gives a little bit of jungle control for Astral Authority. Slightly picking up this left side mid Harpies, giving them a little bit of a lead, nothing to write home about though.
These are definitely two teams that you could see in the Pro League right now with how they're playing. They are potentially both going to compete in the open relegations if they can get to that point, but it shows the level of play that how close this is going to be. This is why I've kind of predicted this could potentially go all 3 games.
Yeah, the graphs dictate a very stock market-like style between these two teams, not really going one flat line, like not a roller coaster of emotions, it's just going slight spikes. So very close to these two teams as we're approaching in the semifinals.
And that's why we're looking towards the Gold Fury now, realistically, because the Gold Fury is the point that generally swings the balance, or at least trades out. You'll see the Gold Fury go down and kills for one team or another, and then leads can develop from that one. Over on the right-hand side, though, Mango and Fates continuing to duel up here, and still working towards Iron's Breastplate of Valor. Finish for Mango now, and Mango's in a pretty solid position because of that.
The next big mistake could cause troubles for either of these two teams because, like you mentioned before, the Gold Fury is going to be a high point of contention. Both of these hunters are at a very good power spike.
And we're going to connect with Mango, followed by a silence as well. Mango looking to just juke out some abilities and try and buy some time enough for the dash and ult to the sky. Beautiful play from Mango just to escape that gank attempt that was pretty damn solid.
That Wrath that was used just to be able to escape. There was an offensive Wrath being used, and then also a defensive one just to be able to get away. So great defensive measures.
Stable Vortex hits Fates now, and Fates is in trouble. Great Cataclysm from Genocide to keep his tank alive. Fates going to use the Rain Dance to heal back up as well as a shield. Genocide did work there, but now he's the one in trouble instead.
Mango is back though with the teleport as well as the rotation from FineOK. So picking off Genocide, who was left alone. He did his job to keep iFates left alive, but unfortunately had nowhere to go. 4-man rotation on the right side by Astral Authority, but first rounders, they're going to be able to push down mid a little bit instead of going for the Gold Fury.
But a great rotation from Famous Hey here is going to slow that down. Giliar is in a bit of trouble here, going to jump underneath his tower. FineOK with the butt out of the hell as well as the Stellar Burst coming through from Famous Hey. Great rotation from him just to make sure they can pressure the tier 1 and not lose anything in mid lane.
All FineOK needed was 2 hits from that ultimate, but being left unchecked is Benny Q on the left-hand side because of the rotation from Famous Hey to mid. So still picking up something. His first round is 500 gold in their pockets.
It's an interesting trade-off overall because I think I'd rather lose a side lane tower than I would a mid lane tower.
But it is the Gold Fury side tower, so if you're able to push this down deep enough, you're going to have enough vision from your own minion wave to spot out if anyone is in that laning phase to clean up the minions, so therefore you can take advantage of that by maybe going for the Gold Fury.
Well, not a massive amount of kills that we've seen through the tournament so far, but still 9 in 14 minutes, and under 40 minutes isn't too bad in the grand scheme of things. But the game is still pretty balanced between the two. 2. Obviously, these kills go in the way of Astral Authority, but first rounders always seem to be answering back.
Well, if we're not going to see a Nike out of Astral Authority, we're not going to see too much fighting to be able to get those passive stacks. So this is why we see Astral Authority slowing down, looking for the right opportunity to find the picks. And more importantly than finding the picks is not giving up anything back in return. Only 2 deaths on the side of Astral Authority.
Solo laners rotate towards mid lane here, which shows that the Gold Fury is starting to be looked at once more. First rounders were grouped up around there, and you can see how much ward coverage they have around this Gold Fury pit. I can see 6 wards around the Gold Fury right now for the side of first rounders alone.
If we can look at the wards placed, I've noticed actually earlier on that first rounders was doing a good job keeping the sentries all across the board. Yeah, with the exception of Bacchus here from Astral Authority, everybody else from first rounders has been a good job monitoring the vision for the rest of their team.
There is a chance though that you can overward as well, totally, right? Like sometimes you overward a little bit too much and that can cause you problems because you invest in gold elsewhere.
Exactly, you're not going to have the items necessary to really battle against each other, but you could utilize the vision. And now we see BennyQ having to go into the sky. You're going to poke out Benny, the soul instead.
He was looking for a big play really on to Famous Hate there, but now rotations from both teams turn up. First rounders fall back to their half of the map. Syndrome trying to put some pressure onto Giliara here, who's going to get a whole load of burst from the Supernova, as well as the Unstable Vortex coming through. And once again, Shaker's portals have been very useful to initiate these fights.
That's the power of a level 16 soul with the red buff. You got the Supernova and the Stellar Burst waiting for you as you land from that portal. Nowhere to go but the graveyard. BennyQ wrapping around underneath.
But BennyQ does not have his ultimate this time. In the sky right now is Mango looking to dunk down. We're only going to find one and force out Genocide, which is going to mean that poor old Ra in the mid lane Quig will fall down for free. Fates is forced back as well, and Astral Authority are starting to take control of this game.
Doing a good job finding a kill, poking out Fates in the process. He's too zoned out, but BennyQ realizing he can't really do anything about this Gold Fury. He's just going to be able to get the wave, poke out the tower, force out the teleport. He was even considering maybe proxying between the towers, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Well, this is a good call from Astral Authority too. Defend the tier 2 as well. Is still doing the Gold Fury here. They'll get the Gold Fury, and now they're also going to be able to easily pick up BennyQ eventually, who could have taken a 1v1 there, but he can't handle 2 assassins at the same time.
The problem is the fact of how tanky Mango is. Even if he took the one-on-one, we still would have seen the rotation from Final K to be able to clean up BennyQ. However, he maybe should have recognized that he had nowhere to go in the long run, maybe sacrifice his life in the process.
And now first rounders try to answer back a little bit of damage onto that tier 1 tower in the mid lane after losing the Gold Fury there. But in the grand scheme of things, Astral Authority able to defend, continue to pressure Final K at level 15 now on this jungle, 3 levels above Giliara.
16 minutes in the game already, 2,500 gold lead on the side of Astral Authority. Not that big of a lead considering their previous games. At this point, we saw them 10,000 gold or ahead, even more.
And first rounders, we said they beat Cope's team, who made it to the finals last week in a round of 32, I believe. Shows they've got the talent on this roster to really perform. Most of these guys, you've seen some of their names in the competitive scene before for sure. Definitely Giliara, who's been on the tail end of entering the Pro League multiple times.
Struggling though at this point, only level 12 on the Hunbass, not able to keep up with the Final K's Kamazats, and that's going to be very problematic because the Brawler's Beatstick is online for Final K. Quig is also struggling at level 13 on this Raw. 0 kills, 2 deaths, and 1 assist. He only has the Dynasty Plate Helmet to be able to survive for now.
It's the global and semi-global pressure that Astral Authority have here that is causing a problem for first rounders. The Giannis and the Ratatoska, both of these have been very instrumental in the fights, able to set things up and dive in very deep or even escape.
And this is the issue by having Chalk in the solo lane, right? Because you have an engagement between Hunbats or the Geb, so that means you're going to have to kind of separate one. Make sure that you have either the Fear No Evil or the Cataclysm just to peel away those 2 heavy backline penetrators between Mango on the Ratatasker and Final K on the Kamazats.
And this is the play we see in the mid lane a lot. Left Syndrome, not scared to just go with a flop and wait for Shaker to try and follow up with a portal to confirm the Unstable Vortex or follow-up damage from the Soul and the Kamazats as well. They just leave Mango to do his own thing, and Mango right now is invading the speed buff once again. He knows the Wrath is down on iFates and the ultimate. We saw that around the blue.
Mango's in the sky. He's trying to find an engagement. He's going to connect onto 2 in the backline. Quig taking a little bit of poke, having to use his heal momentarily, though. He's so low!
He is so low, but Quig's dancing around in the heal, trying to stay up. Mango wants the kill, but Mango's going to get turned on now as the rest of his team has been forced out. Mango going to take a couple of shots. Shaker's going to come in with the Unstable Vortex, but still, first rounders are alive, and now Mango's in a bit of trouble here.
BennyQ, though, he finds a 3rd hit.
Too deep.
Finally, 2 deep. Giliara, it's getting credited for that kill. iFates with the Shield of Rigo are going to try to chase down Final K, but he will be fine with that ultimate. Now a 5-on-4 play. They have the Raw sustain, and this is the power coming out of the Raw. The damage from the ultimate and the sustain for the tower siege.
Left Syndrome is one hit from death. Fantastic supernova though from Famous Hate. And actually the dot coming out from Final K will be enough to pick him up. But the sustain onto BenQ is going to be enough to pick up the tower. And round the back comes Fates. The fight continues.
And Soul doing so much damage already. Fate's going to be another victim from Famous Hate already. 4 members dead from first rounders. It might even be a deicide here, as there's nowhere really to go for this Geb. He has to go back up north.
He's out. He's out just in time. Shaker doesn't have his ultimate available to chase down. Famous Hate wants to continue to chase this, but it's too late. Geb is one of those characters that has 1 or 2 opportunities, and if he times it right, gets out of the danger. Sadly, though, his team, different story.
Famous Hate has been able to turn that fight on its head for his team, but now Mango making a rotation, trying to clean up Genocide for an unofficial deicide potentially, but it is a Geb, not much mana though. 1, maybe 2 more in-hands will clean it up.
Not sure if that's really worthwhile to kill Genocide, but at the same time, his respawn's going to be another 30 seconds, which will make it a 4v5 for a few more seconds time. They could have potentially pressured tier 2 tower in mid then if he would have gone there. Instead, going for the kill, it will free up some farm on the left-hand side and lose some experience there, as Shaker will take a tier 1 on the right as well.
Only if Famous Hate was still in the mid lane could you really go for that tier 2 tower, considering the fact that he was probably sitting on a lot of gold in hand. He wanted to finish off that Obsidian shard. He's already been basically putting the team on his back at this point. That supernova was the deciding factor for that team fight. Without that supernova and not killing the Raw there, the rest of first rounders is able to utilize that Raw sustain, push down the tier 1 tower, continue the 5-on-4 advantage that they had because they picked off Mango earlier on, and then maybe even continue for the tier 2 of their own.
And you can see how the graphs went. We're up to about 10 minutes. We're pretty much even, but slowly but surely Astral Authority are winning the engagements, winning the objective battles as well as the other big key here. But credit where it's due to first rounders, they are still in this game right now. The kill differential doesn't show that, but they definitely are.
They just have to be able to hold out for another 10 minutes or so. Their 10,000 experience lead is problematic for them at this point. 4,000 gold can be basically overlooked. That's not going to matter too much because there's still going to have to be a commitment under the tier 2 towers, under the Phoenixes, and that 4,000 gold isn't going to be the deciding factor. But the experience is. The level advantages is going to allow Astral Authority to make plays like this. Look for the Gold Fury, maybe even look for the Fire Giant, and bait first rounders into a position they don't want to be in.
Well, you saw the last game, and it was Mango was all the talk, but this time it's the whole team, as he's the only one who's died is Mango. The rest of the team haven't yet, but Space and Time fired off by the whole squad. I think a little bit worried the Fire Giant may have been being done there more than anything else.
They didn't have vision.
But now they're trying to turn this potentially into a gank.
Yeah, there was no vision on the Fire Giant for Astral Authority, so now they're going to at least utilize the ultimate from Shaker just to put themselves in an aggressive spot, be like, all right, you could have been sneaking Fire Giant against us, but we made sure we covered that option after our free gold fury at the 21-minute mark, extending their goal lead to beyond 5,000 gold. And now they have control around the Fire Giant and maybe could look for picks to a left Syndrome.
Still trying to look for picks with the lead. They've got Flop on Genocide and as well the Supernova did a lot of damage, but hell, and left Syndrome will clean it up. And now they can look for BenQ, forced to beads underneath the tower, back to safety. Facing a good job of zoning for the time being, but not long enough, as in the sky is Mango.
He's going to land right back down onto our Fates, but a nice raft defensively used to make sure to peel him off, but Mango says, no, I'm still going to get the kill. Sacrifices his life in the process, though, but everybody is low on first rounders. They have to be grouped with that Raw sustain, but you don't want to be too grouped because Famous Hate will punish you for it.
And Mango diving in there works out for the kill, but the problem is they've got no anti-heal now available to him. He had a pestilence, but the dot is going to clean it up. Left Syndrome will be one hit from death, but it's allowing time for Famous Hate to bring down the tier 2. And obviously with Disapparate, you should be able to get away for a second. BenQ, though, looking to turn this around.
Supernova, though, is going to deter him as taking too much damage. He's going to get slowed down in the movement speed, and now they're going to turn it down. The portal from Shaker into the unstable vortex, giving him the movement speed that he really needs to go in, find the damage, and then get back out. Everybody
still looking for it. Space and Time fight off, looking towards BenQ or Quig. Not going to hit either of them once again. BenQ survived the unstable vortex earlier by the Aegis and the shield from Geb, just in case.
That tier 2 tower siege by Astral Authority was just perfectly executed. They were min-maxing it to the best of their abilities. They also had left Syndrome take that tower to the last shot. We also saw, after nobody else was there, Famous Hate took some tower shots of his own just to be able to get that tower down, still relying on his Disapparate. And then before all that even happened, Final K finds the long-distance snipe onto Giliara with the second kill with a dot.
The one thing to mention about Astral Authority, again, we spoke about it earlier on, but this is the team that played in the Eager Saturnalia just before Christmas. And that team this team was the same team for all intensive purposes, but they fought against what were former world champions as a roster here. Jeff and friends literally was the Cognitive Prime team that won Season 1, and they defeated them.
Very impressive accomplishment for Astral Authority, and this is why they've been doing so successfully here in the second week of the North American Open Bracket qualifiers. They already had 40 points from last week. If they keep playing like this, they could get themselves a guaranteed 60 points.
They walked into Gabe and Friends last week, and that was their only stumbling block, with Snoopy, Eon, and Corey Wynn making up some of the members of that roster. But they are showing they are one of the best teams from the Challenger circuit to be able to be available now, looking to siege a Tier 2 as well.
They're feeling very comfortable now at the 24-minute mark. You know, they weren't as good as they were the last two games, but now Giliara is going to engage.
And Giliara gets engaged, but now he's got forced out round the back again, and with the jump coming down, Shaker's going to pick him up. Genocide on the front line trying to be a tank for his team, but he has to walk away. Fates with a good ultimate to buy a moment for his carries to get back to the back face of the Phoenix, but Mango doesn't care.
Oh, the defensive wrap into the dash. He's going to be alive, but BennyQ, he wants the kill. He finds one. He needs to find one more. He finds the kill, again punishing Mango for his transgressions.
Good pickup by BennyQ there, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stop the onslaught that is Astral Authority looking for the Phoenix here. Fates is out of mana, BennyQ's on half health, and there's enough members here of Astral Authority to juggle the aggro and pick up the Phoenix.
Left side Phoenix pre-25-minute mark, not even a fire giant. This is how you can tell a team has just been so dominant. Whenever they have the opportunity to siege a Phoenix before having the fire giant buff, means that they are in the best possible position. They got a 3-for-1. Mango sacrificing his life, beautifully done there, giving his team the opportunity to get that Tier 2 tower, get that Phoenix, and on top of this, with that left Phoenix down, all they have to do is wait about a minute to a minute and a half to get 2 or 3 of those fire minion waves, and then look for the fire.
Great timing from Face on that ultimate just to make sure the Disapparate ended as he dunked down, and it will pick up for the first time this game Famous Hate, who hung around a little bit too long. Bit of a power play opportunity now with that soul not being around for the next 50 seconds.
Without the portals from Shaker, there was really nowhere for him to go, and you're not going to run away from a Chalk that has a shield of regrowth. It's just never happening.
Not going to happen indeed, but when I'm looking over this game now, first rounders are definitely up against it. Mango still looking to go aggressive here, looking for a pick onto Fates. He's going to cover the option of the axe, and then look to collapse down with the support.
Through space and time, almost one-shot Quig in the process. He has to retreat the portal from Shaker. He wants to maybe find a kill, but too far away. Forcing out the Sanctuary to BennyQ, the Cataclysm defensively, and that could be problems for Genocide though, but not connecting on the flop.
Giliara around the back with a Fear No Evil will keep his tank alive for now. Snipe from Quig hits the home onto Mango, forcing him back. Left Syndrome now going to be the one to turn tail last on his team, as Astral Authority are forced away from continuing the pressure. First rounders did very well there.
All the abilities from first rounders was basically used defensively. The Fear No Evil, the Cataclysm. This is the point in time where they're really struggling to find a foot in this game. They have to not take these team fights outside of their Phoenixes, outside of the tower. But the problem is, it's going to be Astral Authority utilizing this Giannis portals in the ultimate to be able to get in a position to take advantage.
I'm looking over how this game has all gone, Tolly, and the two things I can definitely stand out as now is BennyQ's trade with Famous Hate at the start where he died. He dived the tower, and now Famous Hate kind of went on a rampage after that. But on top of that, he didn't really get much support from Giliara, who's been behind the whole game in the jungle up against Fine OK. I think they're the two things to really focus on from this game going into next.
And that's because Final K and Mango has been doing a good job putting pressure in the solo lane. There was 2 speed buff invades. There was a lot of rotations into that solo lane that wasn't punished by first rounders by going for a Gold Fury. So as a result, that level disparity made it difficult for Giliara to really catch up and be the first one to start the engagement. Instead, he had to wait for Final K to constantly put himself out there and then look for the defensive Fear No Evils instead.
And that's kind of how the game went. Astral Authority have been the aggressors the whole game. First rounders have been the reactionists to that, trying to turn it after the initial engagement. The problem is that the lead is causing so many problems and trying to execute that the team's already dead before they can reinitiate.
You know, with the 11,000 gold lead, Astral Authority are in a very comfortable position heading into the 28-minute mark. Experience at this point doesn't really matter as everyone is approaching level 20. Both of these teams jockeying for position around the Fire Giant, but huge advantage for Astral Authority as there's going to be fire minions flooding down the left-hand side if left unchecked.
It's a good timing for this because the Phoenix is about to respawn, so you don't want to give that one up either. You can let the Titan get hit by 1 minion wave of fire minions, but 2 or 3 is when you're really starting to push it.
Especially considering the fact that Astral Authority can even use that Giannis ultimate to basically all-in dropship that Titan if it's less than 50% health.
Love Shaker's position on the left-hand side there as we watch it on the map. You can see that he's just hanging around the area. There's a ward there to keep an eye on him, but he is getting a lot of damage off his Syndrome commits first of all. Gonna force the Intoxicate as well. Fate's doing a good work on the front side for his team, but now they can just wait here, Astral Authority. They win their little engagement because left-hand side is still pushing.
That's all they have to wait for. That Phoenix is about to respawn in less than 30 seconds. There's about 2.5 fire waves, 3 now. It looks like that's going to be dropped down.
Venom Weaver was great from Giliara there to stop the follow damage from Shaker, who used his beads and his Aegis there as well by the looks of it. Mango in the sky, looking to confirm some damage on the back and cause a distraction to allow his team to look for the tier 2. Syndrome getting low. Quig up picking up with a snipe.
Great snipe coming out of Quig, finding an early kill, but they have to be careful because there's fire minions into the Titan room. One's already approached. That's 2 members in on Astral Authority. Giliara being traded out. Final K trying to run for his life. Benny Q wanting to find the kill so badly. 2 for 2. Titan, sorry, 3 for 1
This is fine. This is fine. First rounders come up big there overall because Astral Authority, they will get the tier 1, the Phoenix on the left-hand side again, but they could look for the Fire Giant here if they can find one more.
Benny Q gonna get stunned out by Mango. He has to be able to try to get back into this one through space and time. Clips him in the process. The ultimate not available for Mango to really catch up to that one though, but Genocide has to be able to try to do something. He's gonna drop to Shaker's unstable Vortex. Mango is gonna be able to back in the process, wait for his teammates to revive to be able to get the Fire Giant. Now during that whole team fight, Astral Authority, they got the left side Phoenix by the fire minions waves.
And now iFace can defend the left-hand side there for the time being. Fire minions will continue to pour in. The Fire Giant still stands though, so that's very important in the grand scheme of things. That Astral Authority haven't really lost their lead right now. It did give a window for first rounders to get back in, but it's not enough just yet, as you can see by the graphs.
This late game Rama is the key to the comeback potential for first rounders. If it's just going to go off on a rampage and nobody goes onto Benny Q, he's going to get off all the shots, all the crits, all the damage. He also has the Fatalis to be able to get himself in a good position whenever he wants to, even if he wants to retreat and go start kiting people left, right, or center.
Red Buff going to be over to Famous Hate. Not a real surprise to see him being picking this one up at this stage of the game. Obviously, you want to on a mage as the game goes on for the extra power spike. It's more valuable than a Fire Giant. The question is always, do you give it the mid laner or do you give it the Hunter if the Hunter is magical?
You definitely want to give it to Famous Hate at this point because he has more reliable damage. Obviously, through space and time will chunk somebody, and with the red buff, it will maybe even one-shot somebody, but you can't really rely on it to be a very high % accuracy. Whereas Famous Hate, you know, his Stellar Burst, his Supernova is more confirmable damage, so that's why it's safer to rely on him having the red buff.
Well, this time Astral Authority can dance around the Fire Giant, knowing there's no towers for them to bring down. They're just looking for Phoenixes now. If they can bring first rounders in, that's what they'll look to do. They're going to be looking for people backing or slightly out of position for a pick as they just wait around and look for it. But now Left Syndrome turns up with the Magi's Blessing as well. It will allow him to evolve some CC at the start of the fight, which can help them out.
And with Fates on the left-hand side, still having teleport to be able to defend those Fire Minion waves, we're going to see Astral Authority start up the Fire Giant, trying to bait first rounders inside.
Fire Giant still at about 70% right now. Giliara took a lot of poke for free, forced a Fear Weevil already. Syndrome goes in on him with the Intoxicate, and you can see the difference in levels between the two is non-existent. That's a support versus an assassin at the same level. However, Benny Q will pick up fine okay, and you've got to be careful of Benny Q here. But the trade was good, and Benny Q's still alive for a second. Syndrome going to absorb the damage, though, from the Cataclysm, at least the CC, and allow him to dunk down and pick up Benny Q.
2 for 1 in the favor of first rounders, and we also see that Giliara is going to be able to defend the Titan room by himself. Fire Giant's still going to be looked at potentially, but the fight is still going to continue. We see iFace chasing down Shake in the process, utilizing that Shield of Regrowth. The portal is going to keep him up alive for a little bit longer. Titan, a little bit less than 7,000 health at this point in time, still has to try to find ways to keep this left side Phoenix alive. There's still about 2 Fire Minion waves that Hunbats is going to have to deal with. We see Shaco still running for his life. The rest of the members from first rounders is still grouped up here. They're trying to defend themselves here, and Astral Authority, they have been so successful in terms of the early to mid game with all their offensive opportunities that they've established. But now, as we approach the later stages of the game, we see Benny Q has been able to really turn this game in the favor of first rounders.
Agreed. He really has given an opportunity to them. And you saw Benny Q at the start of this game up against Famous Hate in the lane, and it showed how dominant he was being on the Rama, but bit off a bit too much more than he could chew. That came back to haunt him a little bit. But and now he's finding the grace of being a Rama in the late game. There's Fatalis on him as well. How do we feel about this?
I feel like it's a good idea for him because it's a very mobile composition. Fates, though, in an awkward position. He utilized the axe. He has to use that ultimate just to prevent the stun, but the Mad Guy's Blessing is not going to silence
space
it.
inside, man. Unstable Vortex removed from the map is the Chuck. I thought he was safe with Quig just hanging around in the background, able to sustain him back up. Talking about sustain, the sustain has already been dropped from Ra and still pushing on our Astral Authority. They may fall back for the Fire Giant now, knowing that they have a man advantage.
Nobody is safe from the ultimates from Shaker. He's just been on point. Whether or not he connects it, he puts his team in a very close position to be able to get it. Great zoning from left Syndrome. Genocide, though, he's trying to roll in. He's going to get stunned down.
They get
First
it.
round to steal
it away, but meanwhile, Shaker's under pressure from Giliara, who has to jump away. Over the top comes left Syndrome. They're looking to pick up Giliara with the last of his mana. Shaker gets credit for the kill. Fire Giant on 3 members of the first rounders. That's a win, even though they don't come out clean.
60 seconds or less, though, for Giliara to revive without having that Fear No Evil offensively or defensively in a 5v3 spot for another 10 seconds as Fates is about to come up. Allows Astral Authority to put pressure on the right. Also, Final K in the mid lane, forcing out Benny Q to handle him.
Just trying to force Phoenix's here. Our Astral Authority, the left one is fine for the time being, although weakened. And talking about weakened, Genocide is forced back. They have to surrender one on the right-hand side. So Astral Authority, although losing the Fire Giant, they come up big again, as there's now going to be 2 weakened Phoenixes at the least.
They're still trying to bait out a little bit longer, though. iFate's left alone in a 1v4 spot. Benny Q with the snipes deterring Shaker in the process. Still going to fall with his life, and still 5 members left alive for Astral Authority. Nobody was able to pick them off.
But at 34 minutes now, the respawn time is going to really start to ramp up. You can see Fate is approaching a minute at least for the time being here. Astral Authority do have advantages, though, because they have the Giannis. This is a big key here. He can potentially remove one person from the map, as we saw, like Fates, at a blink of an eye.
And this is what I wanted to talk about, actually, earlier on, was the mobility from Shake on the Giannis versus the mobility from Fates with the Shield of Regrowth and Benny Q having the Fatalis. It seems like these are the 2 options that they use for themselves to maybe try to either catch up to the Giannis or at least try to run away from him.
And the one thing about picking up the Fatalis, like you said, on the side of Benny Q here, is he can box the 2 assassins that are going to be in his face, because assassins need to be in range for most of their abilities. But you can stay at a nice 55 yards if you can, landing those auto attacks every time and just moving around consistently.
And at this level, these players are very comfortable utilizing that Fatalis just to be able to kite backwards against these assassins. If there's no speed buff on the side of Final K, it's going to be very difficult to catch up to Benny Q. He might even have to use his ultimate just to cut the distance.
Don't know what Genocide's doing that far out of base on his own as a Geb. Yeah, he's looking for levels, but no, he's not looking for this. 2 members are here. He's got backup on the way, but I don't think they want to commit. A little bit worried there where Astral Authority, the amount of damage they could do to Genocide, although he was very far out of position.
He definitely was, but the members from Astral Authority was only fine, okay, and left Syndrome. That wasn't going to be enough damage to really confirm the kill onto Genocide before the rest of his teammates would show up. However, the Giannis ultimate could allow the rest of Astral Authority to group up and take advantage of that out-of-position gap.
And I think the big key here is Astral Authority kind of waiting for this Fire Giant buff to wear off 3 members of first rounders right now before they continue the siege. They've got minions pouring in the right-hand side, which means they can look to the left, but Mango's a little bit out of position here himself, and he's going to get fully womboed and picked up. Bit off a little bit more than you can chew. However, Benny Q!
They took so much damage from the Giannis ultimate as well. Hunbat taking the unstable Vortex. Fates going in. The snipes, though, from Benny Q. And Quick finding the kill, but in the backhand side, Final K was waiting for Benny Q to come back down.
Shaker, though, with the unstable Vortex will remove Giliara from the map, but now Shaker's going to get a pull out of the danger zone. Quick was waiting around the corner to try and pick him up, but so was Final K. Very tanky on the Camazots right now. Keep it on the deaths. You can see it's 2 for 2 so far. The Phoenix on the right-hand side is having fire minions pour into the base of first rounders, and still Quick is alive, but for how long?
The Gap Shield keeps him alive. The
Syndrome?
portal, though, he can't get for the portal, but he'll still be fine. Fates wants to chase this down. Still boxing, though, in a 2v1 spot. Is Fates able to torrent away from that belly flop? Well played.
And still, everybody's standing in the fight after the 2 for 2. The fire minions, yeah, they're doing a little bit of work to the Titan. It's not going to be enough to stop everyone, but what an interesting trade between the 2 teams there, where both of them made individual plays.
Mango took so much damage to start things off. He took the raw snipe, he took every other sort of ability in the game practically, and then the snipe coming from Shaker, clipping Benny Q, allowing Final K to clean that kill up very quickly, no problem. If that snipe doesn't connect, first rounders win that fight convincingly.
For sure, and I think the big key now is kill Shaker. They have to kill Shaker in this game, because if they don't manage to kill it, first rounders are not going to really get away back in, I feel.
I don't think they have to kill Shaker. I just think they don't have to get hit by the ultimate.
Well,
I feel like...
To be fair, it's easier. I feel like it's easier to kill a Giannis than it is to try to avoid the ult. Because you don't know where it's going to come from,
That's
right?
True.
Like, in the grand scheme.
There's just so many things happening. You always have to worry about the fear no evil, as well as the engagement coming out of left syndrome, creating a distraction.
Yep.
So once you're distracted for even a split second, that's all Shaker really needs to get off that ultimate, clip any of these squishies between, whether it's Quig or Benny Q, and then we're going to see yet again Final K putting himself in that backline, or it could even be Mango, as long as he doesn't get picked off again.
And at this stage of the game with the Shaker on the Giannis as well, this is the time that you look towards a Giannis player and think to yourself, when you're playing this and you're full build like you are, you can one-shot anyone, and actually just timing your ult at the right time is always the tricky thing, because sometimes you want to just try for a big-time play that can turn around and haunt you if it's on cooldown.
He has the late-game build complete, Ratatouille and all of the above, though the Fire Giant getting absolutely melted between Shaker and Famous Hate. It is low, and this time Astral Authority does confirm it quick, not in time with that snipe.
But still, first rounders realize they're going to have to take a fight here at the same time. Fate's ultimate is already down, so is Genocide's. Shaker's isolated and alone this time round, though, by the team, but he's still going to get out for the time being and actually pick up Quig in the process.
And now
another!
He finds Giliara. The monkey bounces wasn't in range to find it. iFate's going to get knocked up. That's 3 members dead for first rounders, and with Fire Giant for Astral Authority, the first game should be in their favor.
It looks like this should be over now, but there's only 2 members remaining. The duo lane of first rounders versus a whole team with Fire Giant. Shaker's a little bit low here for the time being, so got to be careful, but they're focusing on the Phoenix. It's his weekend, and that goes down first.
And with Soul having Fire Giant full build, having the heat, this is going to absolutely melt the Titan and these tanky targets on first rounders. Mango taking a lot of poke, forced to dash away. Famous Hate throwing out the Stellar Burst.
That's
Titan dropping down.
Game 1 goes the way of Astral Authority. It is a best of 3, though. That's why we're saying game 1.